action feature from this issue, Monster of the Deep. For centuries, no one believed the giant squid was real, until scientists made a shocking discovery, by David Gran. It was January 2003. The night was dark. A French sailor raced across the Atlantic Ocean. He was trying to break the record for the fastest sailing voyage around the world. But suddenly, his boat stopped. The boat shook. It rattled. The crew shined flashlights into the water, trying to see what was going on. Below deck, one man looked through a small, round window into the ocean. Then he saw it, a huge tentacle snaking around the boat. The creature was like something out of a horror movie. It was about 30 feet long. Its skin shined. Its long arms were covered in toothy suckers. The creature seemed to be wrapping itself around the boat. The boat creaked. The crew thought it would break. Then it was over. Everything went still. The creature was gone. I've been sailing for 40 years, and I've always had an answer for everything, for hurricanes and icebergs, the French sailor said later. But I didn't have an answer for this. It was terrifying. What the crew claimed they saw was a giant squid. But there was one problem. At the time, people weren't sure that giant squid were even real. A tall tale? People have told stories about sea monsters for years. There are movies, books, and legends about scary beasts that attack ships and drag people to their deaths. Some of the wildest stories have come from sailors. For centuries, men have returned home from sea with tales of huge squid-like beasts. These creatures, some said, were larger than whales and stronger than elephants. One of them was known as the Kraken. The Kraken, it was said, could trap a ship by creating a massive whirlpool. The Kraken, it was said, could trap a ship by creating a massive whirlpool. Scientists thought these stories were just tall tales. Or maybe they were hallucinations brought on by too much time in the sun. Then, in 1873, a fisherman near Canada returned to shore with a 19-foot tentacle. Experts realized that the Kraken, or something like it, really was out there. Experts guessed that what sailors were seeing was a kind of giant squid. Sometimes, large squid body parts would wash up on a beach or get caught in fishing nets. Yet no scientist had ever seen a living giant squid. In the 1960s, oceanographers invented ways to explore deeper in the ocean than ever before. Teams of scientists called Squid Squads searched the sea for one of these creatures. Teams of scientists called Squid Squads searched the sea for one of these creatures. For them, the giant squid reminded them of the ocean's mysteries. About 4/5 of the ocean remains unexplored today. Still, no one could find one. Unlocking the mysteries. Steve O'Shea is a marine biologist. Step into his office or home, and you might think you're in a mad scientist lab. Jars of squid parts line his shelves. O'Shea has unlocked a few of the mysteries about these creatures. For one thing, giant squid really are giant. They can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. They can grow to be almost 60 feet long. O'Shea also knows why giant squid are so hard to find. They live thousands of feet below the surface of the ocean, deeper than any human can go. Their huge eyes, larger than those of any other animal, allow them to flee at the first sign of trouble. And with their highly developed nerves, they can quickly move away from a net or a camera. O'Shea wanted to catch the live giant squid. In 2001, he caught 17 babies. Each was about the size of a grasshopper. He planned to raise them in captivity, but by the time he reached shore, all the babies were dead. Crying, O'Shea pulled the dead squid out of the tank he had been keeping them in. He later learned that the tank was made of a material that is poison to squid. Living specimen. In 2004, there was a breakthrough. 2 Japanese scientists were tracking a pod of whales off the coast of Japan. They thought the whales might lead them to a squid. They were right. For days, the scientists searched with an underwater camera. Then, they saw something stuck under a large rock. It was a creature the size of a school bus. Its eyes were as big as basketballs. It had 8 flapping arms and 2 long, sinewy tentacles. It thrashed so wildly to break free that one tentacle broke off. Before it got away, the scientists took photos. They also hauled the 18-foot tentacle onto their boat. In 2005, the same team found another giant squid. It was 3,000 feet below the surface. They filmed it with a robotic camera. In 2012, another Japanese team filmed a giant squid too. But to this day, no one has been able to catch a living one to study. Some wonder if that's even possible. Maybe the giant squid will always be a mystery to humans. Fantastic beasts. People have been telling stories about these mythical creatures for thousands of years. But unlike the giant squid, these beasts live only in people's imaginations. Bigfoot. The legend of Bigfoot was born in the 1950s, after gigantic footprints were found in California. People became convinced that the prints belonged to some sort of beast. Not quite human, not quite animal. Many reported hearing strange noises and finding clumps of Bigfoot hair. In fact, these were probably from real animals. But today, 1 out of 5 Americans still believe Bigfoot is real. The Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie, is a creature that supposedly lives in a lake in Scotland. Sightings have been reported for centuries. Some say that Nessie is a sturgeon, a type of large fish, or a plesiosaur, a long-necked reptile that became extinct millions of years ago. But the lake has been searched carefully, and nothing has been found. The dragon. Many cultures have stories about fire-breathing dragons. What inspired these legends? Ancient peoples may have found dinosaur fossils or whale bones and thought they belonged to dragons. Or the stories may have been inspired by the Nile crocodile, which can grow to be up to 20 feet long and weigh as much as 1,650 pounds. Today, Nile crocs live in parts of Africa. But in ancient times, they may have also lived as far away as southern Europe. The mermaid. The ocean has inspired many stories of mermaid-like creatures. The ancient Babylonians and ancient Syrians worshipped gods that were half fish, half human. In the Odyssey, an ancient Greek poem, creatures called sirens lured sailors to their deaths. In the 1500s and 1600s, as Europeans began sailing to the Americas, the number of mermaid sightings increased. These mermaids were probably dugongs, or manatees, which are gentle cow-like mammals that live in the water.